Hello, my name is Kyle Power, and this is my presentation for History and Theory of Public Administration. This presentation will give a brief overview of organization theory by Luther Gulick and public policy and analysis by Charles Lindblom, and how they both have similarities and correlate with my experience with my employer, the Los Angeles County Fire Department. Luther Gulick in 1937 developed the POSCORB organization chart, which kind of defines the different functions of a manager or an executive of an organization, what types of tasks that manager would be doing. And instead of doing the small little things that like the secretarial work, it kind of gives more of a definition of the role of a manager within an organization. Specifically in the fire department, the Los Angeles County Fire Department follows the National Incident Management System. This is a national framework and a national approach to incident management, so that during an incident or an emergency or an event on a large scale, when resources arrive on scene to a large fire, or say the flooding and hurricane disaster in Houston, that they all kind of go into a certain function that are similar to the functions within Luther Gulick's POSCORB, under a span of control and an inline, a line of authority or a chain of command. So all these functions that I see in Luther Gulick's POSCORB are also identifiable within the Incident Management Systems organization chart. However, they are broken up into operations, planning, logistics, and finance. Each one of these report to an incident commander. And within each of these, so in, let's say, operations, they're the front line of an incident, whether it's a large event like a large triathlon where there's safety involved, or if it's a fire or a flooding disaster like happening in Texas right now and on the East Coast. The directing of operations would be happening with the frontline personnel that are making rescue efforts, going door to door, getting people in the flooded areas out safely. So that would be the directing would fall under operations, and that would be happening under the ICS framework. In the planning section or planning branch, you'll have organizing and staffing taking place, and those would be happening off-site at the incident command post, far from where the emergency is actually happening, and the organization of what is going to happen the next 24 hours and who's going to be doing that and how we can get those people and where they're coming from. The logistics portion will be coordinating what type of equipment is needed, coordinating how they're going to get where they're going to need to go, and that would also be taking place off-site at the incident command post, as well as the finance division, which is going to be doing a lot of the reporting and the budgeting and allocating all the costs of the emergency, whether it's for paying for the personnel that are making the rescues, or paying for the equipment or food or lodging or whatever it may be that's costing the operation. This also follows what Luther Gulick was talking about within span of control. Each function oversees a certain amount of individuals or subordinates. There was a lot of kind of different ideas within the article about what the right amount of span of control would be. Within the fire department, we follow the National Incident Management Systems span of control guidelines, which is one supervisor to every 3 subordinates, up to 1 supervisor to every 7 subordinates. So once the framework grows beyond 7 subordinates, that gets divided into separate branches. So if you have 14 subordinates, you're going to need 2 supervisors to stay within that span of control of 1 supervisor to 7 subordinates. So here's an example of what as the lifeguard division does, a very simple kind of example. This is the Malibu Triathlon. This happens once a year in September. It's a 2-day event of up to 5,000 athletes or competitors swimming in the ocean and completing a triathlon. So the lifeguard division is responsible for the ocean safety and to ensure that there is an ocean safety for all athletes that take part and competitors, that we adhere to a span of control of no more than one supervisor to every 7 lifeguards that are supervising or watching the people in the event. So specifically, you have an ocean group, which is one leader that has communication with just the rescue watercrafts. So each craft correlates with a color, which each watercraft color correlates to a group of paddleboarders wearing a jersey with the same color. So the ocean group communicates only with the rescue watercraft. Those are our jet skis. And then each jet ski only communicates with their group of paddleboarders to give the direction that is clear and concise, that is delivered from the incident commander that oversees the operations and oversees the ocean group. Next, we'll talk about Charles Lindblom and the policy of science of muddling through, kind of like I'm muddling through this PowerPoint presentation, that public policy implementation is something that is slow and incremental. Talks about the root versus branch method, where root is something that would be kind of developed by theory and maybe only useful for the most simplest of policy development. But in reality, the branch method of policy development is what exists and is based on human reality or the needs of humans. And as time goes on and organizations have grown, policies that have been in place incrementally kind of change over time. And what he was saying was that the best policies are the ones that come to an agreement. When you work in the Los Angeles County Fire Department, that's been around for a long time, with policies that have been in place throughout history and always changing due to technology or time or needs of the department. You got many employees that are going to probably disagree. When policies become developed, there are union negotiations, the union gets involved, and things need to be negotiated. So in my experience, it's something that is not something that happens quickly. There needs to be agreement, and it does move pretty slow. That is my presentation. These are my references, and thank you very much.